Today's a special day on campus, in our community as well, and our team's going to do our best to try to support that, especially for directions here on campus. I know our players take pride in using their platform and their influence to help with social issues. So I'm sure our guys will be active today with that. In terms of the upcoming opponent in the previous game, obviously excited about the victory that we were able to secure there in the home opener at Richardson Stadium against an Ottawa team that traditionally is for the last couple of years has really been a thorn in our thigh. That was our first win against the GG since 2013. So, good for guys on our roster to get that win. And we came together in a, great showing from our student section and our community and season ticket holders. So really excited about getting that win. And now we've been, moved quickly on to our prep for Toronto. Toronto is a dangerous team coming off a win and a bye week. So they've had some extra time to prep us. Really well-coached team with some really good football players at key positions, including quarterback and defensive end. So should be a great challenge this week as we go back on the road, on a same-day trip to the University of Toronto to play at a historic grounds, Varsity Stadium.
Thank you, Steve. We'll start with questions now. We can start with Jesse Bell. Jesse, if you have questions, fire away.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Coach, congrats on making it into the top 10 nationally ranked, number 8. Just a couple questions for you today. What do you feel is the team's current greatest strength, and where do you think you guys need some more improvement?
I think definitely on the surface, defense would be our strength. Our defense has put together 2 very solid performances that have really allowed our offense to, settle into games before really, dialing up, explosive plays and whatnot. So defensively, I thought we've done a great job, and it really starts with our defensive line. Our defensive line has played tremendous so far this season, and then our offensive line is a group that we'll continue to lean on that I think has had a solid start to the season in our ability to, for the most part, do a good job protecting the quarterback and establishing the run game. And then in terms of improvement, we've really got to continue to improve everywhere. But technically, as a football team, I think there's a lot of room for improvement right now. And that's been one of our focuses this week is every positional group has had some things that they've identified as technical that they've got to improve on. We've got to start to take the drill work into the competitive periods in practice and ultimately into the games. There's a lot of technical stuff that we've been coaching for quite some time that we're just not seeing showing up on game film. So we got to do that as a team. And I think that's going to help us execute a lot better.
Excellent. Thank you. Speaking of the defense, in 2019, the unit really struggled, finishing 7th in the OUA in terms of points given up. Right now, you guys are the top defensive unit. What's changed from 2019 to now?
Well, it is really a combination of everything. In football, everybody affects everyone in all 3 phases. So a lot of the time, the offense can be great on the, stat sheet and showing up in the standings in terms of where they rank in the conference. But sometimes that's a product of great special teams and great defense. So, everything's intertwined. Our team knows that. We focus on understanding that. So, a lot's changed since 2019, right? In all 3 phases. And that's trickled down to the defense performing better. But in particular, we're missing Cam Lawson from that 2019 team, but we've got some other guys stepping up right now. And obviously Anthony Federico's off to a great start. I find our secondary to be a little longer, a little bit more capable of playing man coverage consistently. But I think the big thing defensively that's changed since 2019 is our tackling. We're just tackling so much better than we did in 2019.
All right. One final question for you, Coach. Something you alluded to. How do you keep guys engaged in the run-up to a game where you are favored to win it?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we don't look at it at all. We haven't for 1 second talked about being favored. We don't really see it that way at all. We just really focus on, video analysis of our opponent. We don't look into stats and rankings and things like that. It's more of just video analysis of the opponent. And we see a very dangerous team that presents a ton of challenges. And when we watch our own video, we see a team that drastically needs to improve quickly or else bad things are going to happen. So our focus is on improving, especially technically this week, and identifying and respecting the threats that Toronto presents, and trying to be prepared with play calls and identification keys, so that we can, on game day, just get a better feel for what's going to happen maybe before it happens, and put ourselves in a good position. So there's a lot of prep that goes into that stuff. That's kind of what our team's focused on right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Coach. Good luck this weekend. I'm looking forward to the game.
Okay, thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. Next, we'll go to Ian McAlpine. Ian, if you have questions, you're up now.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I think Jesse just beat me to the punch there. I was going to ask you about Toronto. I can't remember in recent memory when Toronto's beaten Queens, and it's obviously not in your career at Queens, and every player in your team has never lost to Toronto. So is that something that creeps into the back of your mind, that kind of situation, if they can take a win from you?
No, not necessarily. It's more, again, it's not to be cliche. It's more just looking at, them as a current opponent in their week 1 game film, and how they played some teams last in 2019 as well, referring to some video there. But it's they're a threat in the pass game. They've got one of the top quarterbacks who's mobile and has a very talented arm. He can just, with velocity, get the ball all over the field quickly. So it's a threat there. So we're defensively, it's like, we're not worried about, what our record is against them, or who's beat them, who hasn't. It's really just, how are we going to contain this quarterback? How are we going to pick up on things before they happen? A talented receiving core that's had some success together and has great chemistry with their quarterback, and a much improved offensive line. And then defensively, they've got an outstanding defensive end. Okay. One of the top defensive ends in the conference, and one of the best pass rushers we've seen. And he just has the ability to be very disruptive. So we got to neutralize him. And just a front seven overall, a defensive line that's very technical, very well coached, and some solid linebacker play as well. So we're just getting ready for, their scheme and the possibilities of, kind of plan Bs that they can play with, maybe things they haven't put on tape that we got to be ready for.
Yeah, great. Sounds like you've really done your homework on Toronto. So good luck on Saturday.
Yeah. And Ian, just to kind of jump onto your question a little bit more, is from my understanding, Queens and Toronto are 88 wins and 88 losses all time. So this is a pivotal game in the from a historical perspective. The winner of this game, from my understanding, will have the edge again.
Thanks for that. Thanks for the heads up. I'll look that up. Yeah,
maybe something you guys look into just to confirm, but from our understanding, the all-time series is tied right now.
Probably goes back to the turn of the last century, the rivalry.
It does. It's one of the oldest in the country. We're one of the original 3 football playing schools with Toronto, and there's a great history there. Absolutely some fun stuff with the history of that, and this should be a great one. Obviously, they're undefeated and we're undefeated. So, in 2019 when we played them, they were a nationally ranked team coming off a big win as well at home. So it's a little eerie in that sense, of them coming off the bye week at home, coming off a win early in the season.
Great, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. Next up is Jack Burnham.
Thank you, and thank you for making the time. I think that my 2 colleagues here have kind of covered all the things I want to cover, so I think I'll be kind of short. So my question is really, I have 2 questions. My first one is, like, how was that emotion in the locker room after Saturday's game, given both the memorial service for Francis Perron and, like, winning the home opener? I know that emotion and keeping kind of steady emotion is something you're talking about going into the game. So I'm curious how you think that went, from what your perspective was.
Yeah, it went really well. Again, we took great, pride in being able to help honor Francis and be a part of that. And I think our university and our football program did a great job. And, our thoughts are certainly with Ottawa. But at some point, you got to turn it on and play football. And both teams knew that. And Ottawa certainly, did that as well. And so our job was to, after the tribute, and when we were about to really play football, we got to start to rely on our instincts again. And instincts in football, ultra competitive, physical, violent, and dialed in mentally, and relying on your drills and all your training. So we asked the guys to just jump back into their football instincts and play the game one play at a time and stay steady. And they did. They really did. Again, 2 weeks in a row now, I thought our team has stayed steady and played football one play at a time and relied on their instincts around the game. the emotion in the locker room after, I think was great. You know, the guys are really starting to take a ton of pride in the program. You know, we're singing our fight song after we win, and you know, we're tracking the all-time wins for us, which is 476 now. So they're having a lot of fun with that and enjoying being around each other after we win. And, you know, we got to keep that feeling going. It's a great feeling to win football games because it's such a, you know, collective effort, and it's so much prep. It takes an entire week to get there. So, you know, it's a really good feeling, especially to be at home, you know, around parents and students and community members at Richardson Stadium, which is such a special place to play. So now, you know, we've done a good job of rechanneling our focus because we do look at the video so much and realize that we do have so much to improve on and so much technical work still ahead of us. So the guys have been pretty dialed in this week, and I think they're looking forward to the challenge of, you know, going on the road and trying to beat another quality opponent.
And then I think my second question is, James Keenan has thrown 3 touchdowns and no interceptions so far this season. And so I guess my question is this the season you expected out of him, based on what you've seen earlier in his career? Yeah,
it was, you know, our quarterback room is very strong. You know, we have 4 quarterbacks that we all believe in that have all developed, you know, really well, and all guys that we believe we can win football games with. And so, you know, we expect a lot out of all of them. We expect anytime any one of them gets to play that they're going to play at a high level. And I think James has certainly done that so far this season. He's settled in, and he's throwing the ball well. He's done a great job with his feet, creating things when you know, plays break down, and also, you know, utilizing his feet and design quarterback runs. But he's really done a good job of managing it. You know, he seems really settled in. He's steady, and he's making good decisions. And you know, we're just going to continue to lean on him to play within himself and to use all his great skill sets that he has, you know, every week. And this one's a big one for him. You know, it's a huge game. He wasn't in the Toronto game last year, so this is his first real shot at one of our rivals, and in a big game on the road. So I know he's looking forward to it.